Hi everybody, this is your weekly notice video. The first thing I want to do is give you a quick lockdown update. So this week the government announced that up to 6 people from different households are allowed to gather outside so long as they remain 2 meters apart. And that potentially gives us as a church an opportunity to arrange some small group gatherings outside in the coming weeks. So maybe a prayer meeting where 6 or less people gather to pray outside, bringing their camping chairs, for example, and staying 2 meters apart but praying together and actually seeing each other face to face. Maybe some life group gatherings of less than 6 people perhaps. There are some opportunities available to us. So what I'd like to say is this week the church is not going to formally arrange any gathering of that kind, but we will take this week to pray and think about what we might do in future weeks. So it may be that in a couple of weeks' time we might arrange an outdoor prayer meeting where it's the first 6 people to sign up who can gather and pray together. And we might do a couple of those, we'll see what happens. But we're praying and thinking about that. This week, we're going to stay doing what we have been doing, which is only hosting things online using Zoom. Personally, of course, you're free to do whatever you'd like to do in line with the government guidelines. So do feel free to arrange meetups with people outside, groups of 6 or less and remaining 2 meters apart. And Rachel and I have a field across the road from us. So if you'd like to meet with us and just chat or just spend some time with us, then yeah, drop us a text or drop me an email, and yeah, we can certainly arrange that. But yeah, the main update there is that this week we aren't going to take advantage of that new change in the relaxation of the lockdown rules, but we might do in the future. The second thing regarding lockdown is the government have set a provisional date of the 4th of July for churches to reopen. That is a provisional date based on what happens during the month of June with COVID-19 and the data and the science and everything that they're collecting. So it is a provisional date. And at Christchurch Fareham we have the added complication that we need to do everything that we meet in the Ashcroft Arts Centre, so we're using a venue that we don't own, so we're reliant on them for meetings to be back in the Ashcroft, and at the moment we haven't spoken to them and don't know whether they would be willing to open for us in the month of July. So I guess this is just me saying at the moment, during the month of June we'll be praying and planning and doing all we can to gather again as soon as possible, but at the moment we do not have a date for when the church will be able to gather together face to face once again. And of course, when we do gather, there are all sorts of things we need to plan for. We need to make sure that people can sit more than 2 meters apart wherever we gather. We need to make sure that the services are still being broadcast online so that people who are vulnerable can still join in with our services from their homes. There's loads to think about. So the month of June is really critical for us as a church as we plan for potentially gathering again in July. So please again be praying for that, praying particularly for me and some of the other leaders in the church who I will discuss this with, just praying for wisdom and knowledge. We'll be seeking advice from other church leaders as well. All sorts of things will be happening in the month of June to ensure that we as a church can gather safely but also as soon as possible, because I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to gather physically together as a church again. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful moment. So that's your lockdown update. In terms of the things happening this week, we're running a Tuesday prayer meeting on Zoom as usual from 7:30 to 8:30. We're running a Thursday prayer meeting on Zoom as usual from 6:30 to 7:30. And we'll also be hosting a social on Zoom on Friday evening. It will be a quiz, the social on Friday. Can you let me know if you're planning to be there? Because there's a couple of options. We could host our own quiz on Zoom and do Teams if there's lots of people from Christchurch Fareham who want to be involved. but there's also an opportunity to enter a team into a quiz hosted by another church. And so if there's only a small number of people who are interested in being part of the quiz, then that's probably what we'll do, is we'll enter a team and be part of another church's quiz, which might be quite fun to work together rather than against one another for once, as part of our quiz socials that we've been running. So those are the things happening this week. There'll be plenty of encouragement videos going out on Facebook and on YouTube during the week as well. There's just one more thing to mention, which is I want us as a church to love our community better. And I think we've been really blessed as a church community over this season, in that the vast majority of the church haven't been financially affected by the crisis. Whereas I'm sure you've seen on the news, the world is hurting, the economy in the UK is hurting, but through God's blessing upon our church, most of the people in our church are still working, are still earning, and are financially very stable. So I think we need to act on that, and we need to do better in terms of supporting the poor, supporting local charities, and reaching out and helping people. And so another real priority for us as a church in June, as well as planning for reopening in July, is to find local charities, local initiatives that we can be involved in as a church to bless our community. So if you know of opportunities, or you know people who need help, or you know charities that are particularly struggling at this time, tell me about them. Tell others in the church about them, and we can start formulating a plan to be generous as a church and to bless our community as much as possible. So yeah, those are the notices. Love to see you for prayer on Tuesday or Thursday. Love to see you for a social quiz on Friday evening. And otherwise, please be praying for all the plans ahead. Lots for us leaders to be thinking about and planning for the future. So we really do value your prayer. Hope you all have a great week, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.